John Ashcroft had always been drawn to the mysteries of the cosmos, his insatiable curiosity, leading him to the far reaches of the known universe. As a seasoned explorer for the Interstellar Research and Exploration Agency, he had encountered his fair share of strange and wondrous SS. However, nothing could have prepared him for the events that would unfold on this fateful day. It had started like any other routine survey mission with John, carefully piloting his sleek advanced spacecraft across the vast expanse of space. His scanners had detected a previously undocumented planet, and like him drawn to a flickering flame, he couldn't resist the opportunity to investigate. As John's ship descended through the planet's wispy atmosphere, he was immediately struck by the sight of a colossal alien structure dominating the landscape below. Spires and towers of a bizarre organic design stretched scoured their surfaces, gleaming with an otherworldly sheen. John felt a palpable sense of unease, but his scientific curiosity far outweighed any trepidation. Gently guiding his craft to a smooth landing, John took a moment to collect his thoughts before disembarking. The air was thick with a scent of unfamiliar flora, and the ground beneath his boots had a strange, almost spongy texture. Slowly he advanced towards the towering alien edifice, his eyes darting about, taking in every curious detail. As he neared the structure, Jan noticed an opening in the base, a cavernous gaping maw that seemed to beckon him forward, stealing his nerves. He stepped across the threshold and found himself in a vast, dimly lit chamber. Alien structures and machinery lined the walls, that purpose and function a complete mystery to the young explorer. John's heart raced as he delved deeper into the alien complex, his senses on higher level for any signs of danger. The oppressive silence was suddenly shattered by a thunderous crack, causing him to freeze in his tracks. Slowly he turned towards the sound, and his breath caught in his throat. Emerging from the shadows, a colossal figure materialized, its very presence commanding John's rapt attention. The being was unlike anything he had ever encountered, a towering insectoid form with a sleek, chitinous exoskeleton and a menacing elongated head. Johann felt a chill run down his spine as he realized he was in the presence of an alien life form of unimaginable power. For a long, tense moment, the two beings regarded each other, the air thick with a palpable sense of uncertainty. Then, to John's utter astonishment, the alien creature spoke, its voice resonating with a deep, almost musical timbre. "Welcome, human," it said, its words perfectly intelligible to John's ears. "I am the queen of this domain. What is your purpose here?" John stood paralyzed, his mind reeling from this unexpected turn of events. He had never imagined that he would come face to face with an intelligent alien civilization, let alone one with such an imposing and formidable leader. Summoning every ounce of his composure, he cleared his throat and responded, his voice betraying a hint of nervousness. I'm an explorer from Earth," he stammered, his eyes never leaving the alien queen's piercing gaze. "I was simply surveying this planet, but I had no idea I would encounter such an impressive civilization." The queen's head tilted slightly, and John could have sworn he saw a glimmer of amusement in her eyes. "An explorer," he said. She used her tone almost playful. "Then perhaps you'd be willing to provide me with a back scrub." Jan stood paralyzed, his mind racing as he tried to comprehend the meaning behind the queen's unexpected request, and that he would soon discover was just the beginning of an extraordinary adventure that would forever change the course of human history. John Ashcroft felt as if the very air had been sued from his lungs as the alien queen's words registered in his mind. A back scrub. Surely he must have misheard or misunderstood the translation. Surely this powerful and imposing creature could not be making such a peculiar request. Yet as he stood transfixed, the queen's unblinking gaze remained fixed upon him, her expression betraying a hint of amusement. John's mind raced, desperately searching for the appropriate response to this bizarre turn of events. "Back scrub," he stammered, his voice betraying his bewilderment. "I am not sure I understand. Why would you request such a thing from me?" The queen's large insectoid head tilted slightly to the side, her movements fluid and graceful, like a predator assessing its prey. "As I have said, I, the queen of this domain," she replied, her tone measured and composed, And you human are an explorer, are you not? I'm intrigued by your presence, and I wish to better understand you. John swallowed hard, his throat suddenly dry. The idea of touching this alien being, this towering queen, filled him with a mixture of trepidation and fascination. He knew that he should be cautious, that he should tread carefully in the presence of such a powerful life form, and yet his own curiosity and scientific drive were rapidly gaining the upper hand, stealing his nerves. Jumped up a step forward, his hands trembling slightly. I will do as you request, Your Majesty," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. A subtle shift in the queen's expression. Was it satisfaction? Was the only indication that she had heard him? Slowly, she turned, presenting her sleek chitinous carapace to the young explorer. John hesitated for a moment, then tentatively raised his hands, gently placing them upon the alien's back. The sensation was unlike anything he had ever experienced. The queen's exoskeleton felt smooth and cool to the touch, with an underlying firmness that betrayed her immense strength. John could feel the faint hum of alien machinery beneath the surface, a testament to the technological prowess of this civilization. Cautiously, he began to move his hands, tracing the contours of the queen's back in slow, gentle motions. To get surprise, he felt the tension in her body begin to dissipate, as if she were actually enjoying the sensation. "You have a surprisingly gentle touch, human," the queen murmured, her voice low and resonant. "It is pleasing." John felt a surge of pride at the unexpected compliment, his initial trepidation beginning to give way to a sense of intrigue. As he continued his ministrations, he couldn't help but wonder what other secrets this alien civilization might hold, what wonders and mysteries they might uncover together. "Your Majesty, if I may," he ventured, his curiosity getting the better of him. "I'm curious to learn more about your people, your culture. Would you be willing to share your knowledge with me?" The queen was silent for a long moment, and Jane held his breath, unsure if he had overstepped his bounds. Then slowly she turned to face him, her gaze fixed upon the young explorer with an intensity that sent a shiver down his spine. "Perhaps," she said, a hint of enigmatic promise in her voice, "but first you must prove your worth, human. Complete this task, and I shall consider granting you that which you seek." John nodded, his determination renewed. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he was determined to unravel the mysteries of this alien civilization, to forge a connection that could change the course of human history forever. With a deep breath, he returned his focus to the task at hand, his fingers once again tracing the intricate patterns of the queen's exoskeleton. As John's hands moved across the alien queen's sleek corpse, he couldn't help but marvel at the sheer alienness of the experience. The texture beneath his fingertips was unlike anything he had ever encountered, a mesmerizing blend of unyielding strength and subtle undulating movements. With each gentle stroke, he could feel the tension in the queen's body slowly dissipating, as if she were truly deriving some form of pleasure from his ministrations. It was a remarkable sight, watching this towering, formidable creature visibly relax under his touch. John's scientific curiosity was piqued, and he couldn't resist the urge to experiment, altering the pressure and rhythm of his movements to gauge the queen's reactions. To his surprise, he found that certain patterns and motions elicited subtle shifts in her demeanor, from soft, contented hums to barely perceptible twitches of her elongated head. "Your touch is soothing, human," the queen murmured, her voice taking on a slight purring quality. "It has been some time since I experienced such comfort." John felt a twin of pride at the queen's words, but also a growing sense of unease. What did this mean? Was he truly earning her trust, or was this merely part of some grander, inscrutable scheme? He knew he had to tread carefully to avoid saying or doing anything that might jeopardize his fragile newfound connection. Summoning his courage, John cleared his throat and spoke up, his voice measured and respectful. "Your Majesty, if I may," he began, his eyes meeting the queen's unwavering gaze. "I am intrigued by your people, by your civilization. Would you be willing to share more about your kind, your history, your way of life?" The queen regarded him for a long moment, her inscrutable expression giving no hint of her thoughts. Then, to John's surprise, she inclined her head slightly, lightly, a gesture that he instinctively recognized as a sign of acquiescence. "Very well, human," she said, her tone betraying a hint of what might have been Curiosity. I shall indulge your curiosity for now, but understand that the knowledge I share is a privilege, not a right. John nodded quickly, his heart racing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. I understand, Your Majesty. I am honored by your trust, and I will do my utmost to prove myself worthy of it. The Queen's large compound eyes seemed to bore into him as if searching for any hint of deception. After a moment she spoke again, her voice resonating with a cadence that John found both captivating and unsettling. We are the Hive, a collective of sentient beings, bound by a shared consciousness and a common purpose. She began, her words measured and deliberate. For millennia, we have traveled the stars seeking to expand our domain and secure the future of our kind. John listened enraptured as the Queen continued to describe the intricate workings of her civilization, the advanced technologies that powered their ships and structures, and the complex social hierarchy that governed their society. It was a revelation, a glimpse into a world so utterly foreign yet strangely captivating. As the Queen spoke, John couldn't help but notice the subtle changes in her demeanor. There was a sense of pride, of conviction in the way she described her people, but also a hint of something else. Was it longing, regret? He couldn't quite put his finger on it, but the mere fact that he was able to discern these nuances filled him with a growing sense of confidence. Perhaps, just perhaps, he was beginning to bridge the divide between their two vastly different civilizations. And as the Queen's tale unfolded, John felt a renewed determination to uncover the mysteries of the Hive, to forge a connection that could change the course of human history forever. As the alien Queen's mesmerizing tale unfolded, John found himself utterly captivated, his mind racing with 1,000 questions. The sheer complexity and sophistication of the high civilization was unlike anything he had ever encountered, shattering his preconceived notions of what was possible in the vast expanse of the cosmos. Fingers continued their gentle ministrations, tracing the intricate patterns of the Queen's sleek carapace. As she spoke, her words painting a vivid picture of her people's history and accomplishments, he listened with rapt attention, his scientific curiosity piqued to the point of near obsession. Your people have achieved truly remarkable feats, Your Majesty, John said, his voice tinged with a mixture of awe and reverence. I cannot even begin to imagine the technological and cultural advancements your civilization has made over the millennia. The Queen regarded him with an unreadable expression, her large compound eyes studying him intently. Indeed human, she replied, a hint of pride in her tone. The Hive has long since surpassed the limitations of your kind, yet we have remained hidden, content to observe the primitive societies that do the galaxy. John felt a twinge of unease at the Queen's words, but his curiosity refused to be quelled. Then perhaps he ventured cautiously, you would be willing to grant me a rare glimpse into the wonders of your civilization for a long moment. The Queen was silent, her gaze unwavering. Then slowly she inclined her head in a gesture that John had come to recognize as a sign of acquiescence. Very well, human, she said, her words measured and precise. I shall grant you a brief tour of our most impressive technological marvels, but you must understand that this is a privilege, not a right. Should you betray my trust, the consequences will be severe. John nodded quickly, his heart racing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. I understand, Your Majesty. I will be honored to witness the wonders of your civilization, and I will do everything in my power to preserve the trust you have placed in me. With that, the Queen turned and led the way, her movements fluid and graceful, like a dancer gliding across a stage. John followed closely, his eyes darting about, taking in every detail of the alien structure that surrounded them. As they ventured deeper into the complex, John found himself in awe of the sheer scale and complexity of the highest architecture. Towering spires of a strange organic material soared overhead, their surfaces covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow with a life of their own. The Queen guided him through a series of cavernous chambers, each one more astounding than the last. John witnessed alien machinery of unimaginable complexity, that inner workings a mystery to his human eyes. He marveled at the sight of pulsing bioluminescent energy conduits, their radiance casting an otherworldly glow upon the surrounding structures. At one point, The queen led into a massive spherical chamber, its walls lined with rows of what appeared to be stasis pods. John's breath caught in his throat as he realized that these were not mere storage containers, but rather the hibernation chambers of the highest population. Our people rest here in a state of suspended animation until their services are required, the queen explained, her voice betraying a hint of reverence. It is a crucial aspect of our civilization's longevity and efficiency. John nodded, his mind racing with the implications of what he was witnessing. The highest technological prowess was truly staggering, and he found himself struggling to reconcile this advanced civilization with the primitive insectoid forms that housed its inhabitants. As the queen continued her tour, John's sense of wonder only grew, his fascination with the hive deepening with every new revelation, and in the back of his mind, a single burning question remained: what other secrets did this extraordinary civilization hold? As the alien queen's grand tour of the highest technological marvels drew to a close, John found himself utterly in awe, his mind reeling from the sheer scope and complexity of what he had witnessed. The high civilization was unlike anything he could have ever imagined, a testament to the limitless potential of alien ingenuity. Throughout the experience, John had been acutely aware of the queen's piercing gaze upon him, her expression unreadable yet undoubtedly intense. He sensed the weight of her scrutiny, as if she were carefully evaluating his reactions, judging the depth of his understanding and his worthiness. Now, as they stood in the vast, dimly lit chamber, the queen turned to face him, her large compound eyes fixed upon the young human explorer. "You have proven yourself to be more than a mere curiosity, human," she said, her voice resonating with a subtle undercurrent of something that John couldn't quite decipher. "Your interest in our ways is genuine, and your capacity for understanding is remarkable." John felt a surge of pride at the queen's words, but also a twinge of unease. What did she have in mind? What was the true purpose behind this grand display of the highest technological prowess? "I am honored by your assessment, Your Majesty," he replied, choosing his words carefully. "The wonders of your civilization have left me truly awestruck. I cannot even begin to fathom the depth of knowledge and the breadth of accomplishments that your people have achieved." The queen's head tilted slightly, a gesture that John had come to recognize as a sign of contemplation. "Then perhaps," she said, her tone almost conversational, "you would be willing to serve as a bridge between our two worlds." John blinked momentarily, stunned by the unexpected offer. "A bridge, Your Majesty," he stammered, his mind racing to comprehend the implications. "Yes, human," the queen continued, her gaze unwavering. "You have demonstrated a unique ability to understand and appreciate our ways. As such, I believe you could be instrumental in forging a lasting alliance between our civilizations." John felt a surge of excitement, but also a sense of trepidation. The weight of this responsibility was almost overwhelming, the potential consequences both thrilling and daunting. I am honored by your trust, Your Majesty," he said, his voice gaining strength and resolve. "If you truly believe that I can be of service in this endeavor, then I will do everything in my power to prove myself worthy of the task." The queen nodded, a subtle gesture that John took as a sign of approval. "Excellent, human. Your willingness to accept this challenge is a testament to your character." She paused, her gaze momentarily drifting towards the towering structures that soar around them. "The hive has long maintained a policy of isolation, content to observe the primitive civilizations that dot the cosmos. But the threat of the Xenos, our sworn enemies, looms ever larger. We find ourselves in need of allies." John felt a chill run down his spine at the mention of the Xenos, a sense of foreboding taking root in the pit of his stomach. "The Xenos?" he asked, his curiosity overriding his trepidation. "Who are they, and what threat do they pose to the hive?" The queen's expression darkened, a subtle shift that sent a shiver through the young explorer. "The Xenos are a relentless, soulless horde driven by an insatiable hunger for conquest and destruction," she said, her words laced with a palpable sense of dread. "They have ravaged countless worlds, leaving behind only desolation, and ruin. John swallowed hard, his mind grappling with the implications of this revelation. If the Hive with their unimaginable technological prowess were threatened by this Xeno's menace, then the stakes were higher than he could have ever imagined. "I understand, Your Majesty," he said, his voice steady and resolute. "I will do whatever it takes to forge an alliance between our peoples to ensure the safety and prosperity of both our civilizations." The Queen's gaze bore into him, and for a moment Jayan could have sworn he saw a glimmer of approval in her expression. "Then so it shall be, human," she said, her words a solemn declaration. "You have my trust, and the weight of the Hive's future rests upon your shoulders." John felt the full gravity of the situation settle upon him, but his determination never wavered. This was his chance to change the course of history, to bridge the divide between humanity and the Hive, and he was more than ready to face the challenges that lay ahead as the weight of his newfound responsibilities settled upon him. John Ashcroft found himself grappling with a whirlwind of emotions. The trust that the alien queen had placed in him was both a profound honor and a daunting burden, one that would require him to navigate treacherous diplomatic waters with the utmost care and finesse. The prospect of forging an alliance between humanity and the Hive was a tantalizing one, brimming with the potential to reshape the very fabric of interstellar relations. But Jayan knew that the task ahead would be no easy feat, with cultural divides, linguistic barriers, and the ever-present threat of the mysterious SOS. With a deep breath, he gathered his courage and turned to the alien queen, his expression resolute. "Your Majesty, I am humbled by the trust you have placed in me, and I swear to you that I will do everything in my power to ensure the success of this alliance." His voice was steady, betraying none of the trepidation that had threatened to overwhelm him moments earlier. The Queen regarded him with an unreadable expression, her large compound eyes studying him intently. "I have no doubt of your commitment, human," she replied, her tone measured and deliberate. "But the path ahead will not be an easy one. There are many obstacles that must be overcome, and the stakes are higher than you can yet comprehend." Jayan nodded, his mind racing as he considered the daunting challenges that lay ahead. "I understand, Your Majesty, but I am prepared to face them, whatever they may be. This alliance could be the key to ensuring the safety and prosperity of both our civilizations." The Queen's head tilted slightly, a gesture that John had come to recognize as a sign of contemplation. "Indeed, human, and that is precisely why I have chosen you for this task." She paused, her gaze intensifying. "But be warned, the diplomatic waters you must navigate gate of treacherous, and a single misstep could have devastating consequences." John felt a chill run down his spine, but he refused to be deterred. "I am ready, Your Majesty. Please tell me what I must do." The Queen's response was measured and precise. "First and foremost, you must bridge the cultural divide between our peoples, overcome the language barrier, decipher our customs and traditions, and learn to speak our truth. Only then can you hope to forge a lasting alliance." John nodded, his mind already warring with strategies and contingency plans. "And at Xenos?" he asked, his voice tinged with a hint of trepidation. "What could you tell me about this threat?" The Queen's expression darkened, a subtle shift that sent a shiver through the young explorer. "The Xenos are a relentless, soulless horde, driven by an insatiable hunger for conquest and destruction." She said, her words laced with a palpable sense of dread. "They have ravaged countless worlds, leaving behind only desolation and ruin. We have fought them for millennia, but their numbers have ever growing, and their tactics ever more ruthless." John felt a knot forming in the pit of his stomach, but he refused to be cowed by the magnitude of the task before him. "Then we must prepare, Your Majesty," he said, his voice filled with newfound determination. "We must gather intelligence, devise strategies, and forge an alliance strong enough to withstand the Xenos' onslaught." The Queen's gaze seemed to pierce through him, her expression unreadable. "Indeed, human, and that is where your skills and diplomacy will be put to the ultimate test. You must navigate the delicate balance between our civilizations, forging bonds of trust and cooperation in the face of our differences." John nodded, his resolve hardening with every passing moment. I am ready, Your Majesty. Lead the way, and I will follow no matter the challenges that lie ahead." The Queen's head inclined ever so slightly, a gesture that Johann recognized as a sign of approval. "Then let us begin, human. The fate of our worlds hangs in the balance." With those words she turned and began to lead the way, John following closely behind, his mind racing with 1,000 plans and strategies. The path ahead would be arduous, but he was determined to succeed, no matter the cost. In the weeks and months that followed, John Ashcroft immersed himself fully in the task that the alien queen had entrusted to him, forging an alliance between the human race and the enigmatic high civilization. It was a daunting undertaking, fraught with cultural divides, linguistic barriers, and the ever-present threat of the mysterious SCOs. Yet with unwavering determination and a keen intellect, John navigated these treacherous diplomatic waters with the utmost care and finesse. He learned the intricacies of the hive's language and customs, gradually earning the trust and respect of his alien counterparts. Through countless negotiations and cultural exchanges, he cultivated a deeper understanding between the two vastly different civilizations. As the alliance began to take shape, John and the hive leaders turned their attention to the looming Xenos threat. The Queen's descriptions of the relentless soulless horde had chilled him to the core, and he knew that the future of both their worlds hung in the balance. "We must take the fight to the Xenos," the Queen declared, her voice laced with a palpable sense of urgency. "Their home world, Xenos Prime, is the source of their power. If we can their operations there, we may be able to turn the tide of this war." John nodded, his mind racing with the implications of such a daring plan. "I understand, and Your Majesty, but the journey to Xenos Prime will be perilous, and the battle itself will be fiercely contested. We must be prepared for the worst." The Queen's gaze fixed upon him, her expression unweaving. "That is why we have chosen you, human, to lead a strike team to the heart of the Xenos domain. Your diplomatic skills and your understanding of our ways make you uniquely qualified for this task." JN felt a surge of both trepidation and pride at the Queen's words. The weight of this responsibility was immense, but he knew that the future of both their civilizations hung in the balance. Swallowing hard, he nodded, his resolve hardening. "I will do it, Your Majesty. I will assemble the best and brightest of our combined forces, and we will journey to Xenos Prime, no matter the cost." The Queen inclined her head, a gesture that John had come to recognize as a sign of approval. "Human time is of the essence, so you must depart immediately. The fate of our worlds rests upon your shoulders." With those words, the Queen turned and gestured to her attendants, who quickly began to gather a small but elite team of hive warriors, each one possessing remarkable combat skills and technological prowess. John watched in awe as they prepared for the perilous journey, their movements fluid and coordinated, a testament to the highest military might. As the strike force assembled, John took a moment to reflect on the path that had led him to this point, from the unexpected encounter with the alien queen to the forging of this unprecedented alliance. His life had been forever altered, and now he stood at the precipice of a critical moment in history, one that could determine the very future of both human and hive civilization. With a deep breath, John stepped forward, his gaze sweeping across the assembled team of human and hive warriors. "We embark on a mission of the utmost importance," he declared, his voice carrying a weight that belied his years. "The fate of our worlds hangs in the balance, and we must be willing to face whatever challenges await us on Xenos Prime." The warriors listened, their expressions resolute and unwavering. John knew that they were ready, that they shared his determination to succeed no matter the cost, and with that they set off the sleek advanced spacecraft, carving a path through the vast expanse of space, hurtling towards the looming threat of the Xenos homeworld. As the strike force's spacecraft hurled through the void of space, John Ashcroft couldn't help but feel a sense of trepidation gnawing at the pit of his stomach. The journey to Xenos Prime had been arduous, fraught with unexpected challenges and near constant evasion of the Xenos' formidable defenses. But now, with the target in sight, the true test lay ahead. John stood alongside the elite hive warriors, his gaze fixed upon the ominous silhouette of the Xenos homeworld. The planet itself was a stark, foreboding sight, its surface a twisted, jagged landscape that seemed to radiate an aura of pure malevolence. "We are approaching the primary Xenos installation," one of the hive pilots reported, his voice tinged with a hint of unease that their defenses are formidable, but we have studied their patterns and prepared accordingly. Jan nodded, his mind racing with 1,000 strategies and contingency plans. Then let's not keep them waiting, he said, his voice steady and resolute. Our window of opportunity is narrow, so we must strike swiftly and with precision. The high warriors responded with a synchronized nod, their movements fluid and coordinated. GM marveled at the seamless integration of their collective consciousness, a bond that transcended the boundaries of mere cooperation. As the spacecraft descended upon the Xeno stronghold, John could feel the tension mounting. Alarms bladed, and the air was filled with the hum of alien weapons charging up for a devastating barrage. But the Hive pilots were prepared, their reflexes lightning fast, as they navigated the treacherous airspace with a final bone-shaking lurch. The spacecraft touched down, and the strike force sprang into action. John found himself swept up in the chaos, his heart pounding as he followed the Hive warriors into the heart of the Xenos installation. The battle that ensued was a brutally fierce one, with the Xenos forces unleashing a relentless onslaught of alien technology and sheer overwhelming numbers. John and his comrades fought with everything they had, their weapons blazing as they carved a path through the enemy ranks. At one point, John found himself pinned down, his cover crumbling under the Xenos' devastating firepower. Just as he prepared to make a desperate final stand, a Hive warrior materialized at his side, that exoskeleton-clad form shielding him from the barrage of alien projectiles. "We will not abandon our allies," the warrior growled, that a voice, a deep, guttural rumble. With a swift, fluid motion, they unleashed a barrage of energy bolts that decimated the Xenos forces surrounding them. John felt a surge of gratitude and renewed determination, his grip tightening on his weapon as he rose to his feet. "Then let's finish this," he said, his voice carrying a newfound ferocity. The battle raged on, with both sides fighting with every fiber of their being. But as the high superior tactics and advanced technology began to take their toll, the Xenos forces gradually faltered, their once relentless assault crumbling under the onslaught of the Human-Hive alliance. In the end, it was a hard-fought victory, paid for in blood and sweat. Jam stood amid the smoldering ruins of the Xenos stronghold, his gaze sweeping across the assembled warriors, both human and Hive, their expressions etched with a mixture of triumph and relief. "We have done it," he said, his voice tinged with a sense of awe. "We have struck a decisive blow against the Xenos and paved the way for a new era of peace and cooperation between our civilizations." The Hive warriors responded with a series of deep, resonant hums, their body language radiating a sense of pride and camaraderie. John couldn't help but feel a swell of emotion, knowing that the alliance he had forged had proven to be an unbreakable one. As they prepared to depart, John took a final look back at the ruined Xenos installation, a newfound sense of hope and determination filling his heart. The future was bright, and the possibilities were limitless. Together, humanity and the Hive would forge a path towards a better tomorrow, one that would echo throughout the stars for generations to come.